Baseball fans, buckle up, because today's slate isn't just big, it's massive. With all 30 teams in action on August 1st, the diamond turns into a battlefield of rising stars, elite aces, and playoff-hungry squads. From coast to coast, we've got rivalry energy, pennant pressure, and underdog grit all packed into one thrilling day of major league action. Whether it's the Yankees trying to hold off the charging Marlins, the Guardians clashing with the Twins for AL Central supremacy, or the Mariners and Rangers reigniting their AL West feud, every pitch could swing the postseason picture. You want props, you want value bets, you want home run picks that slap, you're in the right place. This is not just about predictions, it's about digging deep beyond the box score. Game 1 Reds vs. Braves. We head into the first of a 3-game midweek set between the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves, and this one should grab bettors' attention right out of the gate. These teams are headed in two completely different directions, and the prices on this game might not tell the full story. The Reds come in trying to salvage whatever's left of their dwindling postseason hopes, while the Braves are quietly getting healthy and suddenly playing like the 2023 version of themselves again. Let's break it down. Starting for the Reds is Hunter Greene, the fireballing righty with electric stuff but major consistency issues. Greene enters this game with a 5-6 record and a 4.62 ERA over 94 innings, with 119 strikeouts and 36 walks. The strikeout upside is always there. He's in the 87th percentile in K rate, but the problems lie in the command and hard contact allowed. Greene's ERA of 4.85 suggests he's not getting unlucky, he's just getting hit. His fastball velocity is elite, averaging 98.9 miles per hour, but his location misses often lead to long balls. In fact, Greene's allowed 17 home runs this season, and now he heads into a park that punishes mistake pitches even more. Truist Park, one of the top 5 home run-friendly stadiums in MLB this year. On the other side, Max Fried toes the rubber for Atlanta. Fried, the ace-caliber southpaw, has quietly returned to dominant form after some early season hiccups and injury interruptions. Fried is 9-4 with a 3.18 ERA, but it's his last 5 starts that should scare Reds backers. Over his last 33.2 innings, Fried has allowed just 5 earned runs, struck out 38, and walked only 4 batters. His command is razor sharp, he's attacking the strike zone early, and he's inducing soft contact at a top 10 rate in MLB. His whip now sits at 1.08, and his expected stats are even better. ERA of 2.92, 8.215 xBA against, and a 5.5% walk rate. When you put these pitchers side by side, it's hard not to favor Atlanta on the mound. But this game isn't just about the arms, let's talk lineup production. The Braves' offense has woken back up, and that's bad news for any pitching staff, let alone one as volatile as Cincinnati's. Over the past 15 games, Atlanta is averaging 6.1 runs per game, with a team ops of .819 and 23 home runs in that span. Matt Olson and Marcell Ozuna are locked in, with Olson slashing .298, .387, .614 in July and Ozuna hitting .318 with 9 home runs this month alone. And don't overlook Ozzie Albies, who continues to rake from both sides of the plate. Atlanta also boasts the league's second highest slugging percentage versus right-handed pitching this year, .451, behind only the Dodgers. Cincinnati's lineup has been streaky, and right now, they're on the downswing. The Reds have scored 3 runs or fewer in 7 of their last 11 games, and their strikeout rate has jumped to 26.2% in the past 2 weeks. Elly De La Cruz still has game-changing speed and pop, but he's hitting just .216 in July with a massive 38% K rate. That's going to be a problem against Fried's elite breaking stuff and command. The Reds also rank bottom 10 in batting average and slugging versus lefties this season, slashing just .229, .293, .368 against southpaws. In terms of bullpens, Atlanta has a decisive edge. Since the All-Star break, the Braves' bullpen has a 2.91 ERA with a 0.98 WHIP and 5 saves. Meanwhile, Cincinnati relievers have a combined ERA over 4.65 and have blown 5 of their last 10 save opportunities. The loss of Tejay Antoni and struggles of Alexis Diaz in high-leverage spots have further destabilized the Reds' late innings. Now let's get into the betting market. The Braves opened as heavy favorites around -190, and the public is hammering Atlanta early. The run line, priced at -1.5 plus 105, has value considering how dominant Fried has been and how inconsistent the Reds' bats are right now. The total is set at 8.5, and it's tricky. With Green's strikeout potential and Fried's dominance, the under is tempting, but both lineups can flash power, especially Atlanta against mistake fastballs. So what's the sharp move? Let's start with the run line. Braves -1.5 at plus 105 is playable. Max Fried has allowed 2 runs or fewer in 7 of his last 8 starts, and Atlanta has won 6 of his last 7 outings by 2 or more runs. When Fried is on, they tend to win big. Cincinnati's inability to hit lefties and their bullpen woes suggest this game could get away from them late if Green only lasts 5 innings. Player props to monitor. Matt Olson over 1.5 total bases plus 125. Olson crushes fastballs, and Green's primary pitch is hittable when up in the zone. He's 4.48 lifetime versus Green with 2 doubles an hour. Ozzie Albies to record an RBI plus 140. Albies is red hot and should have opportunities with Acuna and Olson getting on base. Hunter Green over 7.5 strikeouts -110, risky but worth a look. Braves still whiff against high velocity, and Green will get swings and misses. Ronald Acuna Jr. to steal a base plus 290. Green struggles holding runners, and Acuna leads MLB in SB attempts versus righties. Same game parlay SGP angle. Braves ML. Matt Olson 2+ total bases. Ozzie Albies to record a hit. Game total under 9.5. Payout plus 420. That parlay covers both starting pitcher value and Atlanta's power bats in key spots. It also gives you wiggle room on the total while protecting against a blow-up inning from Green or the Reds' bullpen. Final prediction. Braves 6, Reds 2. Fried dominates, Olson goes yard, and the Braves cruise behind clean bullpen work and early offensive output. The Reds are swinging uphill all night, and Atlanta continues to roll at home. Game 2 Chicago Cubs vs Baltimore Orioles. Northern skies meet Camden drama in Game 2 of the August 1st slate as the Chicago Cubs head to face the Baltimore Orioles, a matchup loaded with narrative tension, market opportunity, and potential betting edges. The Cubs arrives with a patchwork roster and shaky momentum, while Baltimore feels like a playoff-caliber machine rolling back into October form. But beyond the headlines, this game offers angles across pitch, prop, and total markets that savvy bettors can exploit. Baltimore is expected to trot out Dean Kramer, the right-handed value arm who has quietly turned into a dependable innings eater. Kramer enters the game 8-4 with a 3.62 ERA, a low whip near 1.17, and a surprisingly effective strike-to-walk ratio. He's not overpowering, with just under 8K9, but his fastball cutter changeup mix keeps hitters off time. Soft contact is his strength. His hard hit rate sits below 29%, well under the league average. Against a Cubs lineup that has struggled with power and patience, Kramer projects to eat innings and keep the game within a manageable margin. The Cubs will counter with Matt Swarmer, a talented 6 feet 6 inches frame and big league righty who has captured attention with his long fastball and wipeout slider. Swarmer is 7-6 with a 3.98 ERA but has begun to fade in third trips through the order, His ERA jumps from 3.15 the first time through the lineup to 5.18 the second time. He's also struggled with control, issuing over 4 walks per 9 innings in July, when he posted an 8.06 ERA across 4 starts. When the walk rate rises and he loads the bases, Cubs fans hold their breath. His HR9 also jumps sharply in those outings. That immediately opens the door for the Cubs to generate leverage early. Look for first-inning scoring props centered around Patrick Wisdom and Nico Hoerner, both of whom turn the ball with authority early and handle fastballs well. Wisdom's HR rate jumps to over 3% when Kramer leaves pitches 2 straight. Even a modest Wisdom HR line near plus 420 or Nico Hoerner RBI prop near plus 150 can be sharp bets. Baltimore's lineup is loaded. Gunnar Henderson has continued his MVP-level campaign from earlier in the season, mashing right-handed pitching. He's slashing .312, .374, .650 in home games and has 10 RBI in the past 7 days. Adley Rutschman provides elite on-base presence at number 2 in the order, and Jordan Westburg and Anthony Santander round out a top-heavy group capable of stringing hits together. The Orioles rank 5th in the league in ops with runners in scoring position. That creates pressure on Swarmer early, and increased likelihood of him needing bullpen help by the 5th inning if traffic builds. Neither bullpen is elite, so the key divide becomes Baltimore's ability to generate runs early and hold long. The Orioles' relievers have allowed just 1.3 inherited runs per 9 innings in July, compared to Chicago's pen, which has yielded 3.5, definitely not ideal if Swarmer falters early. Let's map out the betting angles. Best value bet: Orioles ML -minus 145, or Orioles minus 1.5 run line at plus 125 to 130. Even if Kramer stumbles slightly, the Cubs' inconsistent bullpen should hand the lead back. Total game trend: the total is currently set at 8.0 to 8.5. This game leans under. Both starters pitch to contact but limit long innings, and while both lineups have pop, walkers and long abs haven't translated into high scores recently. Orioles games with Kramer on the bump have gone under in 7 of his last 9, and Cubs hitters haven't consistently driven in runs unless there's a power surge. Player prop picks: Gunnar Henderson over 1.5 total bases. Expect at least 1 extra base hit, especially given Chicago's HR rate allowed to LHB is in the top 5 of MLB. Patrick Wisdom home run. If Kramer misses high hands, Wisdom can make him pay. Offer is usually available near plus 420. Matt Swarmer strikeouts over 5.5. A rough matchup at home versus an aggressive Orioles lineup. Minor value if available near plus 110. Adley Rutschman walk prop over 0.5. He leads the team in walk rate and fits well against Swarmer's tendency to nibble early in counts. Same game parlay SGP angle: Orioles ML, Henderson TB over 1.5. Wisdom HR, estimated payout, plus 550 if all legs cash. Beyond that, consider a live run line play on Orioles minus 1.5 if they score early, especially in the middle innings when Chicago's bullpen arms figure to come in. Prediction-wise, expect a low to mid-scoring contest that separates in the 5th to 7th frames. Final score prediction: Orioles 5, Cubs 2. Kramer delivers 6 solid innings, setter Aaron Brooks holds the line, and Jonathan Arodo or Yennier Cano work shutout frames to seal it late. Game 3: Nationals vs. Brewers. The Wednesday clash between the Washington Nationals and Milwaukee Brewers brings 2 teams with very different identities face to face in a showdown that could have more betting value than the average I might initially suspect. While the Nationals are still undergoing a rebuild and working to define their young core, the Brewers come into this series with legitimate postseason aspirations. But beneath the surface, this matchup is packed with nuance, hot bats, vulnerable bullpens, emerging rookies, and game script volatility that could offer serious betting angles. Let's start with the numbers. The Nationals come into this game with a 47-61 record, sitting fourth in the NL East, 17.5 games back of the division-leading Braves. Their season has seen a mixture of promising moments from prospects like C.J. Abrams and James Wood, and frustrating outings from a bottom-tier rotation. Despite their underdog label, the Nats have been one of the most profitable teams to bet on as road dogs, especially when their offense catches fire. On the other side, the Brewers sit at 60-47, leading the NL Central and performing like a classic Craig Counsell-built team. Aggressive base running, smart bullpen usage, and enough pop in the lineup to punish mistakes. Pitching-wise, the Nationals are expected to send Jake Irvin to the mound. Irvin, a right-hander with a 4.36 ERA through 21 starts, has been up and down this season. While his ERA doesn't jump off the page, he's shown signs of promise in the last month. Over his last 4 outings, Irvin has posted a 3.18 ERA with an impressive 1.09 WHIP, limiting hard contact and getting out of jams more consistently. Still, his 19.7% strikeout rate and mediocre chase rate suggest he's not going to overpower this Brewers lineup. Milwaukee counters with lefty Wade Miley, who enters with a 4.22 ERA and 1.31 WHIP across 15 starts. Miley has been dealing with shoulder tightness throughout the season and is returning from a brief ill stint. His stuff isn't going to blow anyone away. He's averaging just 88.9 miles per hour on his fastball, but he relies on command, weak contact, and changing speeds effectively. In his last outing against the Cubs, he went 5 strong innings with only 1 run allowed, but his pitch count remains limited, which places extra burden on the bullpen. From an offensive perspective, the Nationals may be better suited against a pitcher like Miley than the betting market expects. They're hitting .271 against left-handed pitching over the past 30 days, which ranks in the top 5 in MLB during that stretch. Players like Lane Thomas ops .894 versus LHP, and Keibert Ruiz .312 average versus LHP, have been significantly more productive when facing southpaws. C.J. Abrams, while inconsistent, offers power speed upside at the top of the order, and with James Wood now in the mix, the Nats have a more dangerous lineup than they did earlier in the year. The Brewers' offense, meanwhile, is built around Christian Yelich, Willie Adames, and William Contreras. Yelich is having a bounce-back campaign, slashing .291, .369, .448 with 17 stolen bases. Contreras, an all-star catcher, continues to deliver in the clutch, posting a .283 average with runners in scoring position. One factor worth noting: the Brewers are far more dangerous at home. Their team ops is .738 at American Family Field compared to just .683 on the road. With the roof closed and the ball carrying well in the summer heat, there's a good chance this game sees more scoring than the totals suggest. Let's talk bullpens. The Brewers' relief corps ranks 6th in MLB in bullpen ERA at 3.41. Devin Williams remains one of the best closers in baseball, boasting a 1.91 ERA and 14.1 K9 rate. Milwaukee also features setup men like Hobie Milner and Brian Hudson who are capable of handling high-leverage innings. The Nationals' bullpen, however, is a serious concern. They sit bottom 5 in ERA and have blown 22 saves this season. Kyle Finnegan and Hunter Harvey have shown flashes, but consistency has eluded this group. If Irvin is knocked out early, the game could quickly spiral out of control for Washington. From a betting standpoint, let's dissect the lines. The Brewers opened as -175 moneyline favorites with the Nationals coming in at +145. The total is set at 8.5. While Milwaukee is the better team on paper, the odds may be too steep considering Miley's limitations and the Nats' lefty-heavy success. The run line plus 1.5 for the Nationals sits at minus 125, which suggests the books expect this game to remain competitive. Prop-wise, here are a few notable angles. Player props to consider. Lane Thomas over 1.5 total bases plus 120. Thomas has torched left-handed pitching this year and has 2 career extra base hits off Wade Miley. Keibert Ruiz to record a hit minus 200, 2 plus hits plus 185. Ruiz is hitting over .300 in his last 10 games and feasts on off-speed heavy arms. Christian Yelich to record an RBI plus 150, with the Nats bullpen involved and Irvin's whip creeping above 1.3 in road starts. Yelich may cash in with ducks on the pond. C.J. Abrams over 0.5 stolen bases plus 300. Abrams has 25 steals this season and the Brewers catchers rank bottom 10 in caught stealing percentage. Pitching props. Jake Irvin over 3.5 strikeouts minus 125. The Brewers are striking out 23.9% of the time against righties. Wade Miley under 4.5 strikeouts minus 135. Miley rarely reaches 5+ Ks, especially when on a limited pitch count post-injury. Same game parlay SGP leg ideas. 1. Lane Thomas 2+ total bases. 2. C.J. Abrams to steal a base. 3. Jake Irvin 4+ strikeouts. 4. Game total over 8.5 runs. Payout. Plus 1,600 odds depends on book. As far as game prediction goes, we're looking at a situation where public sentiment will heavily favor Milwaukee, but sharp bettors may find value on the Nationals with the run liner in the first 5 innings. If Irvin can keep the ball on the ground and limit long balls, the Nats offense could jump on Miley early. But the game may ultimately be decided once the starters exit. That's where the massive bullpen gap between these two clubs looms large. Final score prediction. Brewers 6, Nationals 4. Best bets. Nationals plus 1.5 minus 125. Over 8.5 total runs minus 110. Lane Thomas over 1.5 total bases plus 120. This one is shaping up as a sneaky offensive battle, especially in the middle innings. Use live betting to your advantage if either starter exits early. And don't forget, if the Nationals get ahead, consider hedging with a live bet on the Brewers given their elite bullpen advantage. This game is closer than you think, but the late innings belong to Milwaukee. Game 4. Phillies vs. Tigers. Game 4 on August 1st is shaping up to be one of the most compelling matchups of the day as the Philadelphia Phillies head to Comerica Park to face off against the Detroit Tigers. This interleague clash features two teams with vastly different trajectories this season, but both with reasons to fight tooth and nail for a win. The Phillies come in looking to cement their position atop the National League standings, while the Tigers, despite their struggles, have been a scrappy underdog, often keeping games closer than expected. And with an afternoon start scheduled, weather likely won't play a factor, which gives us a clean setting to dissect the numbers, pitching matchups, trends, and most importantly, value bets. Let's begin with the Phillies. Philadelphia has been one of the most complete teams in baseball this season, sporting a lineup that can beat you in multiple ways and a pitching rotation that's arguably the most consistent in the National League. Bryce Harper's return to full strength has been a turning point, not just for the offense, but for team morale. Harper is slashing .300 with an OPS north of .900 and continues to be a clutch performer with runners in scoring position. He's joined by Kyle Schwarber, whose boom or bust profile is well known, but in a hitter-friendly park like Comerica, especially against a Tigers bullpen with the 23rd ranked era in MLB, he's a dangerous home run threat. On the mound for the Phillies, they're projected to start Ranger Suarez. The left-hander has been a revelation this season. Through 20+ starts, he holds a record of 12-4 with a 2.78 ERA and an absurdly low WHIP below 1.00. He's not a strikeout-heavy pitcher like Spencer Strider or Corbin Burns, but he induces weak contact better than almost anyone in the league. His pitch mix, anchored by a sinking fastball and a changeup with late fade, is particularly effective against right-handed hitters, which makes Detroit's righty-heavy lineup a favorable matchup. The Tigers as a team are bottom 5 in MLB in ops against left-handers, and their slugging percentage dips considerably when facing pitchers like Suarez who thrive on location and command. Detroit, on the other hand, enters this matchup with a young and largely inconsistent roster. Offensively, they've struggled all year to put runs on the board. Spencer Torkelson was expected to take a leap forward this year, but he's been a disappointment with a sub-.230 batting average and underwhelming power numbers. Riley Green is the bright spot in the lineup, but he's been streaky since returning from injury. The Tigers rank in the bottom third of the league in runs scored, on-base percentage, and slugging, and that's been especially noticeable at home where they've failed to generate sustained rallies. Their team batting average with runners in scoring position is among the worst in the league. Pitching-wise, the Tigers are expected to counter with right-hander Reese Olson. The 24-year-old has shown flashes of potential, especially in high-leverage spots, but he's been far too erratic to be trusted against a power-hitting team like the Phillies. His ERA hovers around 4.60, and his strikeout-to-walk ratio is concerning, sitting at 2.2. He gives up a lot of hard contact, and that's a red flag against this Phillies lineup. Philadelphia ranks top 5 in the league in barrel percentage and hard hit rate. Olson's expected ERA, (ZERA), is also nearly a full run higher than his actual ERA, which suggests regression is coming, especially when facing a lineup stacked with lefty power bats like Harper, Bryson Stott, and Brandon Marsh. Now let's dig into the betting landscape. The Phillies opened as road favorites around -165 on the money line, and that number is justified given the pitching disparity and offensive gap. They've been one of the best road teams in baseball, covering the run line in 60% of their road wins. The Tigers, meanwhile, have been one of the worst teams against the spread when playing at home, failing to cover in nearly 58% of their home losses. The over-under for this game is currently set at 8.5, which feels like a sharp line. However, there's reason to lean toward the under if Suarez pitches deep into the game and the Phillies build an early lead, allowing them to shorten the game with a dominant bullpen that ranks third in WAR and first in opponent batting average since the All-Star break. From a player props standpoint, the value on Harper is undeniable. His total bases line is expected at 1.5, and that's a great over spot given Olson's fastball-heavy profile. Harper hits over .330 against fastballs and is slugging .650 off right-handers. Kyle Schwarber anytime home run is also worth a sprinkle, especially if you can get it at +300 or better. For the Tigers, Riley Green's hits plus runs plus RBI line around 1.5 might be the only playable prop, as he's the most likely to make noise against Suarez, though betting that over comes with risk. Strikeout props also lean Phillies. Ranger Suarez's K-line will likely open at 5.5, and although he's not a high strikeout guy, the Tigers swing and miss enough, 8th most strikeouts per game, to justify taking the over at plus money. Olson, meanwhile, may open at 4.5, but with the Phillies' patience at the plate, that's an underspot we like. Let's build a quick SGP, same-game parlay, that makes sense for this matchup. Phillies moneyline, Bryce Harper 2+ total bases, Ranger Suarez 5+ strikeouts, and under 9.5 total runs. This should yield odds around +550 or better depending on the book. It correlates well with a Suarez masterclass, limited Tigers offense, and Phillies power bats doing damage early. Final score prediction: Phillies 5, Tigers 2. We're taking the Phillies -1.5 run line, Harper over 1.5 total bases, and Suarez over 5.5 strikeouts is the best three-leg play. Keep an eye on line movement leading up to first pitch. If this game drops to Phillies minus 150 or lower, it becomes a hammer spot. As always, shop for the best lines and manage your units wisely. Game 5. Blue Jays vs. Royals. It's Game 5 of our August 1st MLB betting breakdown, and this one's shaping up to be a sneaky good matchup with major value on both the sides and props board. We've got the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Kansas City Royals at Kauffman Stadium. Now, on the surface, this might seem like just another midseason game between two non-contenders fighting for pride. But the betting edges here run deep. These two squads are headed in opposite directions in terms of form and motivation, and tonight could be another chapter in that divergence. Let's dissect this game from every angle and lock in the sharpest plays for your daily slip. First, the basics. The Blue Jays come in 51-56 on the season, fading out of the AL wild card picture and struggling mightily with consistency. The Royals, on the other hand, are 58-50 and still hanging around in the AL Central hunt. They're overachieving relative to preseason expectations, thanks to a core that's not just talented but also fearless. Names like Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Garcia, and Vinny Pasquantino are getting it done on both sides of the ball. But tonight's clash isn't just about who's hotter, it's about the matchup on the mound, where we see Jose Berríos going toe-to-toe with Cole Ragans KC. Let's talk Berríos. He's been the picture of volatility this season, entering this start with an 8-8 record and a 3.70 ERA over 21 starts. But his road splits are a concern. Away from the Rogers Center, Berríos is giving up a .252 opponent average with a 4.31 ERA. That's not awful, but it's definitely vulnerable, especially against a Royals lineup that ranks top 10 in batting average .252 and ops .717 at home. They're not power heavy, but they put the ball in play, they run aggressively, and they grind out long at-bats. That's exactly the type of offense that can force Berríos into early pitch count trouble. He's also had some trouble with fastball command lately, giving up 5 home runs in his last 3 starts. That could be a red flag against a Royals team that's been quietly crushing right-handed pitching in the last 2 weeks, slashing .273, .330, .448 over their last 10 games versus RHP. On the other side, you've got Cole Ragans, and this is where the Royals really hold the edge. The lefty has been lights out since mid-June, sporting a 2.94 ERA across his last 7 starts. He's been striking out over 10.3 batters per 9 innings during that stretch, and his fastball, slider, changeup mix is generating a whiff rate above 31%. Ragans is especially lethal at home. In 5 starts at Kauffman since June, he's allowed just 8 earned runs across 32.1 innings, good for a 2.22 ERA. That spells serious trouble for a Toronto offense that's struggled against left-handers all year long. The Jays are bottom 7 in MLB in both ops .660 and slugging .353 against southpaws, and they've been ice cold over their last 10 games, scoring more than 3 runs just 4 times in that span. Let's go deeper into the batting matchups and advanced metrics. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is batting .229 with just 2 extra base hits over his last 10 games. George Springer is hitting below .200 in that same window. Meanwhile, Toronto's bottom of the order is a black hole, with names like Espinal, IKF, and Horwitz combining for a sub-.200 average in the second half. That's not going to cut it against a pitcher like Ragans who's in rhythm and throwing darts. The Royals, meanwhile, are seeing the ball well. Bobby Witt Jr. has a .312 average and a 1.021 ops in July. MJ Melendez is finally heating up, hitting .282 over the last 2 weeks. Add in Michael Massey's resurgence and Freddie Fermin's sneaky contact ability, and you've got a lineup that profiles perfectly against Berríos. Now let's move to the bullpens, where there's more opportunity for bettors. Kansas City's bullpen has been sharp lately, with James McArthur, Will Smith, and Angel Zerpa posting a combined 2.63 ERA over the past 10 games. They've been holding late leads and minimizing damage in high-leverage situations. Toronto's bullpen, by contrast, has been shaky, especially in middle relief. Yimi Garcia and Eric Swanson have blown multiple holds in the past 2 weeks, and Chad Green has an ERA north of 4.80 since returning. That opens the door for the Royals to tack on insurance runs late if they get Berríos out of the game early, which looks increasingly likely. So what's the best way to play this game from a betting perspective? Let's break it down. Moneyline. The Royals at home with Ragans on the mound should be favored, and even if the juice is creeping close to minus 130, it's justified. They're the hotter team, with the better starter, better recent form, and stronger offensive matchups. We're backing KC on the ML. Total runs OU 8.5, lean under 8.5. The Royals don't often explode offensively, they're more of a 4 to 5 run team, and Ragans should hold Toronto in check. But beware a late bullpen hiccup, so consider pairing this with the first 5 under. First 5 inning total, under 4.5 is a sharp angle. Both pitchers can limit damage early, especially with Ragans neutralizing the heart of Toronto's lineup. We're likely looking at a 2-1 or 2-2 game through 5. SGP parlay legs. Royals ML. Cole Ragans 6+ strikeouts. He's hit this in 6 of his last 7 starts. Under 9.5 alt total. Bobby Witt Jr. 1+ hit. That combo gives you a juicy parlay with real correlation. If Ragans dominates and Witt contributes at the top of the order, the Royals should cash at home in a low-scoring affair. Player props we love. Cole Ragans over 6.5 kiloseconds plus 120. Too much value here given his recent form and Toronto's swing and miss profile versus LHP. Bobby Witt Jr. Over 1.5 total bases plus 130, hitting everything hard and seeing Berríos well in previous matchups. MJ Melendez to record a hit minus 160, safe leg for parlays, riding a hot streak. Vlad Guerrero Jr. Under 0.5 RBI plus 115, Jays offense not producing enough, and Ragans limits slugging. Final score prediction. Royals 5, Blue Jays 2. Toronto continues to scuffle at the plate, and Ragans adds another quality start to his resume. Berríos struggles with command and gives up a few early, while the Royals bullpen slams the door late. Game 6 Guardians vs Twins. We've got a big-time AL Central clash on our hands as the Cleveland Guardians visit the Minnesota Twins in a matchup that could tilt the balance of the division. These two squads have been neck and neck for the top spot, and every game from here on out matters more than ever. Let's break this down with deep analysis, player matchups, statistical trends, and of course, our best bets and prop picks to make you money on this showdown. The Guardians come into this game with one of the best records in the American League, driven by a balanced offense, elite contact hitting, and shutdown bullpen. Cleveland has quietly built a winning machine behind manager Stephen Vogt, and even without a ton of home run power, they've been getting it done. They're leading the division for a reason. They don't beat themselves, they're elite defensively, and their bullpen locks games down late. But their lineup has started to show flashes of power, too, which could be a dangerous sign for opponents. Minnesota, on the other hand, has dealt with injuries and inconsistencies but still remains in striking distance. The Twins are finally starting to get some stability in their lineup with key guys like Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton healthy. Plus, The emergence of rookies like Brooks Lee and steady contributions from veterans like Max Kepler and Ryan Jeffers gives this team sneaky depth. The pitching staff is the key here. Can they hold down a disciplined Guardians team that rarely chases and grinds out at bats? On the mound for Cleveland, they're expected to hand the ball to Tanner Bibee, who's been electric since May. Bibee boasts a 3.12 ERA and has racked up 114 strikeouts in just over 104 innings pitched this season. What makes him tough to hit is his wipeout slider and deceptive fastball that averages 95 miles per hour. He attacks hitters inside, and his advanced metrics show elite command with a 5.7% walk rate. Against right-handed batters, Bibee's been especially nasty, holding them to a .212 batting average with just 3 homers allowed all year. Minnesota counters with Pablo Lopez, who's been excellent in his own right. The right-hander enters with a 3.78 ERA and 139 strikeouts across 120.2 innings. He's had some up and down stretches but has shown elite swing and miss stuff, ranking top 10 in the league in strikeout rate among starters. His changeup remains one of the best in the game, generating a 40% whiff rate. Against the Guardians earlier this season, Lopez threw 6 innings of 2-run ball, scattering 4 hits and striking out 8. The key for Lopez will be limiting traffic. Cleveland doesn't slug much, but they're lethal with runners in scoring position. When we look at the offensive matchup, Cleveland plays a completely different brand of baseball compared to most teams. They're second in the majors in batting average .264, and they strike out at the lowest rate in baseball. Jose Ramirez continues to be the engine of this lineup, slashing .288, .359, .520 with 23 homers, 82 RBIs, and 18 steals. He's been a nightmare for opposing pitchers with his ability to handle both lefties and righties and do damage without chasing bad pitches. David Fry and Josh Naylor have been incredible supporting pieces, with Naylor hitting .307 and slugging .503. He's on pace for 30-plus homers and brings power to a contact-heavy lineup. For Minnesota, the offense has started to click lately, averaging 5.2 runs per game over their last 15 contests. Carlos Correa has hit safely in 12 of his last 14 games, and Max Kepler has a .924 OPS over that same span. Rookie Brooks Lee has brought new life to the bottom of the order, hitting .290 with a .370 OBP in his first few weeks. Keep an eye on Matt Wallner, too. He's quietly slugging .485 in July and brings pop from the left side. Bullpen-wise, Cleveland has a clear edge. Emmanuel Clase leads the league in saves and has a ridiculous 1.74 ERA. Behind him, Hunter Gaddis, Scott Barlow, and Tim Herron form a group that's held opponents to a collective .201 average in late innings. Minnesota's bullpen has been more volatile. Joan Duran has struggled with command at times, and Griffin Jax has been hit or miss. If this game is close late, advantage clearly goes to Cleveland. Now let's talk betting angles. The Guardians are 34-21 on the road this season and 21-11 against AL Central opponents. They've also covered the run line in 59% of those division matchups. Meanwhile, the Twins are just 5-10 in their last 15 games against teams with a winning record. The total has gone under in 9 of Cleveland's last 12 road games and under in 7 of Minnesota's last 9 home games. This suggests a tight, low-scoring battle, especially with 2 high strikeout arms on the mound and elite bullpen work late. Here are the top plays and props we're targeting. Top props and SGP legs. 1. Tanner Bibee over 5.5 strikeouts -130. The Twins rank 6th in K rate versus RHP and Bibee has gone over this mark in 5 of his last 7 starts. 2. Jose Ramirez to record 2+ total bases +115. Ramirez has hit Lopez well historically and is batting .327 in July. 3. Under 8.5 total runs -120, with both pitchers trending well and the Guardians' bullpen dominant, we're leaning toward a lower scoring affair. 4. Guardians ML +105, you're getting plus money on the team with the better bullpen, more consistent starting pitcher, and fewer strikeouts. 5. Josh Naylor to hit a home run +420, he's slugging .587 against right-handed pitching and has 6 hours in July. Best SGP option, FanDuel style. Guardians +1.5. Under 9.5 total runs. Jose Ramirez 1+ hit. Tanner Bibee 5+ Ks. +290 odds. Final score prediction. Guardians 4, Twins 2. This game screams playoff intensity. Both teams are vying for the division crown and sending quality arms to the mound. Cleveland's contact-heavy offense and elite bullpen give them the edge in tight games like this, especially on the road where they've been road warriors. Minnesota will keep it close, but unless they can string together timely hits off Bibee, they'll fall just short. Stay locked in with Beyond the Box Score as we continue covering every angle, every edge, and every stat that matters across the diamond. Game 7. Boston Red Sox vs. Houston Astros. There's something about the Red Sox and Astros that screams October. Two perennial contenders squaring off in the dog days of summer, still very much entrenched in their playoff pushes, still very much dangerous. When the Boston Red Sox travel to Minute Maid Park to battle the Houston Astros on August 1st, it won't just be another regular season game, it's a measuring stick moment. These two franchises know what the stakes are. Boston's young lineup has found a rhythm in the second half of the season, while Houston's veteran-laden roster, anchored by elite pitching and timely hitting, is still a force in the AL. Let's break it all down. The numbers, the matchups, the bets, and the game-winning edge. The starting pitching matchup is pivotal. The Red Sox are expected to hand the ball to right-hander Cutter Crawford, who has emerged as one of the steadiest arms in Alex Cora's rotation. Crawford enters this matchup with a 3.62 ERA, 1.17 WHIP, and 108 strikeouts across 109 innings. He's been especially effective against right-handed hitters, limiting them to a .212 batting average. His cutter-slider combination has developed into a genuine out-pitch, and he's holding hitters to just a 32% hard hit rate, an elite mark. The concern is his vulnerability the third time through the order, his ERA balloons to 4.88 in those scenarios. Meanwhile, the Astros counter. With left-hander Framber Valdez. The sinker specialist has had an up-and-down campaign by his standards, but the stuff is still there. Valdez owns a 3.79 ERA with 1.26 WHIP and 96 strikeouts in 111 innings. When he's on, Valdez can dominate with ground balls. His 56.2% ground ball rate is among the best in baseball. But control has been inconsistent. He's walked 3.4 batters per 9 and allowed 17 homers, already nearing a career high. Still, he pitches deep into games and limits damage with runners on. Now, let's talk offense. Boston's youth movement is real. Rookie Ceddanne Rafaela has become a spark plug at the top of the order, slashing .273, .328, .441 with 23 doubles and 10 homers. Jarren Duran has exploded into stardom this year, batting .308 with a .362 OBP and 39 extra base hits. Tristan Casas is back healthy and thumping again, already up to 15 home runs in just 62 games. And then there's Rafael Devers, still the heart of this lineup, who's slugging .531 with 27 home runs and a 138 WRC+. Boston's lineup is deep, athletic, and aggressive on the bases. They rank 4th in the AL in stolen bases and 3rd in extra base hits. Houston's offense, though, is dangerous in a different way. They don't overwhelm with speed or youth, but they beat you with experience and situational hitting. Jose Altuve is aging like fine wine, slashing .298 with a .370 OBP and 17 homers. Yordan Alvarez is, once again, among the league's most feared hitters with 29 homers and a .954 OPS. Kyle Tucker is in the AL MVP race, boasting a .305, .393, .572 line with 30 homers, 91 RBI, and 20 steals. And even veterans like Alex Bregman and Jeremy Pena are quietly productive. The Astros are also elite with RISP. They rank third in the majors with a .289 average in those situations. Defensively, Boston's athleticism shows. Duran and Rafaela cover massive ground in the outfield, while Trevor Story's return at shortstop has stabilized the infield. The Red Sox rank 6th in defensive runs saved this season. Houston, however, still struggles defensively at times. They've committed the 7th most errors in the AL and have been below average in outfield range metrics. That gap could matter in a tight game. Bullpen depth is where Houston still has the edge. Despite early season issues, the Astros' pen has rallied behind closer Ryan Presley, Brian Abreu, and Rafael Montero. They boast a collective 3.41 ERA in July. Boston's bullpen has been more volatile. Kenley Jansen is no longer a lockdown closer, and arms like Schreiber and Winkowski have had uneven stretches. In tight late innings, the edge swings Houston's way. Now let's pivot to the betting market and props. As of opening lines, the Astros are slight -120 favorites with a total sitting at 8.5. Given the pitching matchup and power potential, this number feels spot on, but the value may actually lie with Boston's moneyline around +105, especially if the Sox can get to Valdez early. Prop-wise, Tristan Casas over 1.5 total bases +135 is a strong angle. He's hitting .295 with 7 homers off lefties this year and feasts on sinkers. Yordan Alvarez to homer +375 is tempting, especially with Crawford's struggles the third time through the lineup. Strikeout props also hold value. Crawford over 5.5 kiloseconds +110 has hit in 6 of his last 8 starts, and Houston is swinging more aggressively in July. If you're building SGPs, consider this 3-leg parlay. Tristan Casas 1+ hit, C-Dan Rafaela 1+ run scored, and Cutter Crawford 5+ strikeouts. That returns roughly +420 odds and has a solid base given how each leg correlates with Boston's success. If you lean Houston, swap in Alvarez 2+ total bases and Valdez 6+ IP. So what's the prediction? It's going to be tight. Both teams have playoff-level lineups, one side with youth and speed, the other with power and experience. But the edge might just lie in the momentum Boston's offense is riding and the recent inconsistency from Framber Valdez. If Crawford can get through 6 innings with minimal damage and hand the ball to Boston's bullpen with a lead, the Red Sox could steal one in Houston. But if Valdez finds his command and the Astros ambush early fastballs, it could be a long night for Boston's arms. Final score prediction: Red Sox 6, Astros 4. Best bets: Red Sox ML +105, Tristan Casas 1.5 terabytes, Alvarez to HR, and a SGP built around Boston offense. Lean: over 8.5 total runs, especially with both teams' top 5 offenses coming into this one swinging hot bats. Game 8. Mets vs. Giants. There's a different kind of pressure when two underperforming big-market teams collide in the heat of summer with their playoff hopes hanging by a thread. That's precisely the backdrop for this National League showdown between the New York Mets and San Francisco Giants on Wednesday, August 1st. Both teams entered 2024 with expectations of competing for playoff contention, but instead find themselves languishing around the .500 mark, trying to gain some traction in what has become a brutally competitive NL wild card race. What's at stake here isn't just a win, It's narrative control, clubhouse momentum, and the belief that the second half could still turn into something meaningful. The Mets will turn to their young right-hander Christian Scott, who has shown flashes of promise since being called up in May. Across 10 starts, Scott has posted a 3.76 ERA with a 1.18 WHIP and 49 strikeouts in 55 innings. He's held opponents to a .240 batting average and has improved his control in July, walking just 4 batters in his last 18 innings. His fastball-slider combo has looked sharper against righties, but left-handed bats have found more success against him, slugging .443. That could be an issue against a Giants lineup that's finally getting healthier and features lefties like Lamont Wade Jr. and Mike Yastrzemski, both of whom have been productive since the All-Star break. The Giants counter with veteran southpaw Alex Wood, who has returned to the rotation out of necessity. Wood, 33, has battled inconsistency and injuries all year, posting a 5.09 ERA in 58 innings, with opponents hitting .278 against him. The good news for San Francisco is that Wood has pitched better at Oracle Park, with a home ERA of 3.91 compared to a bloated 6.22 on the road. His sinker changeup mix has been effective in inducing ground balls, but he's been vulnerable to power, already allowing 11 home runs. Against a Mets lineup featuring Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor, he'll need to be precise or risk falling behind early. The Mets' offense remains an enigma. They rank 11th in the National League in runs scored, and their overall approach has vacillated between patient and overly aggressive. Alonso has been their power bat, sitting on 27 home runs and 67 RBIs, but he's also batting just .234. Lindor, meanwhile, has come alive since late June, now up to 17 home runs and 16 stolen bases, and he's slashing .281, .350, .525 in his last 30 games. Jeff McNeil and Brandon Nimmo continue to provide solid OBP at the top of the lineup, but the lack of consistent production from the bottom third has killed rallies. With rookie Mark Vientos showing signs of life recently, manager Carlos Mendoza might shuffle the order again to find a spark. On the other side, the Giants' offense is still middle of the pack, ranking 9th in the NL in ops and slugging, but injuries have kept them from building momentum. Heliot Ramos has quietly become a force in the heart of the order, slashing .292, .364, .518 with 12 homers in just 61 games. Wade Jr. is getting on base at a .393 clip, and Thairo Estrada has shown flashes of gap power. The problem is depth. J.D. Davis has regressed, Patrick Bailey's bat has cooled, and injuries to key bats like Jorge Soler have left the Giants vulnerable to long scoreless stretches. Against Scott, the key will be working deep counts and trying to force him out early to attack the Mets' inconsistent bullpen. Speaking of bullpens, neither team is exactly locking games down late. The Mets' bullpen ranks 18th in ERA, 4.24, and has blown 14 saves. Edwin Diaz's return from injury has been rocky, and Adam Ottavino has not been the dominant setup man he once was. Brooks Raley has been their most dependable arm in high-leverage spots, but even he's been tagged a few times in July. The Giants' bullpen, by comparison, is 21st in ERA, 4.42, and has given up the 4th most inherited runners scoring. Camilo Doval has 20 saves, but his command has been shaky. Taylor Rogers and Luke Jackson have struggled to strand runners, and the lack of swing and miss stuff in the pen is a major concern. The betting markets have set this game with the Mets as slight -120 home favorites, with the total hovering around 8.5 runs. That line suggests oddsmakers see this as a toss-up, and that's exactly what it is. The pitching matchup is fairly even given both starters, inconsistencies, and each offense has the capability to explode or go ice cold. One betting angle to explore is the over 8.5 total runs -110. Both bullpens are vulnerable, and neither starter profiles as a shutdown ace right now. Another solid prop is Pete Alonso to hit a home run, which is sitting around plus 300. He's feasted on left-handed pitching this season, slugging .590 with 11 home runs in just 108 at-bats. Looking into SGP parlay legs, here's a combo that builds value and matches the trends. Same game parlay leg 1, Pete Alonso to record a hit. Leg 2, Lamont Wade Jr. to get on base via hit or walk. Leg 3, over 8.5 total runs. Leg 4, both teams to score 4+ runs. This combo sits around plus 700 odds and hinges on two lefty mashers and both bullpens being shaky late. As for a final score prediction, it's hard to trust either side to dominate, but the Mets get the edge at home with the more reliable offense and slightly better starting pitcher matchup. Expect a back-and-forth battle, with the Mets pulling away late. Final score prediction: Mets 6, Giants 4. Keep an eye on the bullpens in this one. The real fireworks could come after the 6th inning. Game 9. Miami Marlins vs. New York Yankees. There's no hiding from it. The New York Yankees are spiraling at the worst possible time. What was once a team comfortably seated atop the AL East has started to look mortal, with serious flaws being exposed in every phase of the game. On August 1st, the Yankees return to the Bronx to host a scrappy Miami Marlins team that has absolutely nothing to lose, and that makes them dangerous. In a season where momentum seems to shift week to week, the Bronx Bombers are trying to avoid getting swept into irrelevance. But standing in their way is a Marlins squad built on speed, timely hitting, and just enough pitching grit to spoil anyone's night, and this game might be a lot closer than the odds suggest. Let's set the stage. New York enters this series with a record of 61-45, still clinging to playoff positioning but trending downward. In their last 10 games, the Yankees are just 3-7, including several frustrating losses where the bullpen blew leads or the offense failed to deliver with runners in scoring position. On the flip side, the Marlins are 50-56, and although their postseason hopes are fading, they've played inspired ball of late. Miami is 6-4 in its last 10 games and has been a thorn in the side of some much better teams. Their lineup, while not stacked with power, has shown the ability to string together quality at-bats and put pressure on defenses. Now, let's dive into the pitching matchup. For the Yankees, right-hander Marcus Stroman is expected to take the mound. Stroman, once a Cy Young candidate earlier this year, has come back down to earth hard in recent weeks. He enters this one with a 3.72 ERA and a 1.27 WHIP, but over his last 5 starts he's given up 18 earned runs in just 25 innings. The sharpness on his sinker isn't there, and batters are seeing his pitches better in early counts. The troubling trend with Stroman has been his inability to induce soft contact. Opposing hitters are barreling up at a rate of 10.4%, up from just 6.8% in the first half of the season. Opposing him is Marlins rookie Roddery Munoz, who's shown flashes of brilliance but also plenty of inconsistency. The right-hander holds a 4.89 ERA with a 1.39 WHIP in 10 appearances this season. He features a lively fastball that averages 95.7 miles per hour and a sweeping slider that can be devastating when located, but his command is often shaky. In 2 of his last 4 outings, Munoz failed to get through 4 innings, issuing multiple walks and laboring through high pitch counts. If Munoz can get ahead early and force the Yankees to chase, Miami has a real shot at keeping this game close deep into the night. Offensively, both teams are trending in opposite directions. The Yankees lineup, built for the long ball, has been feast or famine. Aaron Judge is still a threat every time he steps to the plate, batting .287 with 33 home runs and 85 RBIs, but the lack of consistency around him is hurting. Giancarlo Stanton is hitting just .205, Anthony Rizzo remains sidelined due to injury, and Gleyber Torres has cooled off significantly. In the last 7 games, the Yankees have batted a collective .222 with just 8 home runs and an on-base percentage below .300. If they can't find a spark, they'll once again put all their hopes on the shoulders of Judge. Miami, meanwhile, has been getting timely contributions from unlikely places. Jazz Chisholm Jr. remains their most dynamic threat, batting .252 with 14 home runs and 25 stolen bases. Jake Berger has been a pleasant surprise, hitting .276 with 17 home runs and an .804 ops. Luis Arraez is still flirting with a .320 average and continues to be a contact machine, rarely striking out and setting the table for others. What the Marlins lack in power, they make up for in plate discipline and base running. Against Stroman, a pitcher who pitches to contact, Miami's aggressive but smart approach could lead to trouble for New York. Let's talk betting trends and value plays. The Yankees are listed as -175 favorites on the moneyline, with the Marlins sitting around +145 as underdogs. The run total is set at 8.5, with slight juice to the over. That makes sense, given both pitchers' recent struggles. However, we need to be cautious before hammering the over. Both teams have been underwhelming with runners in scoring position, and Yankee Stadium doesn't always play small when the ball isn't flying. From a betting standpoint, one angle to exploit could be the first 5 innings. The Yankees have been sluggish early, scoring 2 or fewer runs in the first 5 innings in 6 of their last 8 games. Meanwhile, the Marlins have been sneaky efficient in the first half of games, especially on the road. A Marlins first 5 innings plus 0.5 run line, plus 105, could offer strong value. Alternatively, if Stroman starts strong and Miami's bats are quiet, taking under 4.5 runs first 5 innings, -110, might be the safer hedge. Prop bets are intriguing here. Judge's total bases prop is listed at over 1.5, -115, a fair price considering he's hit safely in 13 of his last 15 games and tends to rise to the occasion after team slumps. Another solid value is Jazz Chisholm over 0.5 stolen bases, plus 280. The Yankees' catching core has allowed 42 steals on 52 attempts this season, and Chisholm will test that the moment he reaches base. As for strikeout props, Stroman is sitting at over under 5.5 strikeouts. Given his recent form and Miami's disciplined lineup, the under looks like the sharper side. Munoz, on the other hand, is listed at just 3.5 strikeouts, which could be achievable even if he doesn't last long. The Yankees do strike out at the 10th highest rate in baseball, especially against sliders and changeups. Munoz is bread and butter. If you're building a same-game parlay, here's a realistic and high-upside leg combination. Aaron Judge 2+ total bases. Jazz Chisholm to record a hit. Under 9.5 total runs. Yankees to win by exactly 1 to 3 runs. This +850 parlay leans into the expected close nature of this game and the limited explosiveness of both offenses. Final prediction. This is a trap spot for the Yankees. They've been inconsistent, their bullpen has leaked runs, and their offense is far too reliant on one superstar. Meanwhile, Miami has nothing to lose, and that freedom often makes teams dangerous. Expect a tight game with plenty of runners stranded, a few defensive gems, and 1 or 2 timely hits deciding it all. If Stroman rebounds, the Yankees can edge this out 4-3. But if Munoz settles in early and Judge doesn't get much help, don't be shocked if Miami squeaks out a 5-4 win. In the end, the best play might be avoiding the moneyline and going with props and totals that reflect what this game truly is, a battle between a desperate contender and a fearless underdog. Game 10. Tampa Bay Rays vs. Los Angeles Dodgers. This might be the most stylistically clashing yet competitively compelling matchup on the MLB board for August 1st. The gritty, analytics-driven Tampa Bay Rays making their way to the glitzy lights of Dodger Stadium to square off against the superstar-stacked Los Angeles Dodgers. It's East Coast efficiency versus West Coast power, sabermetrics against stardom. And while this game won't be marketed like a playoff preview, it might just be one. The Rays, known for maximizing every inch of talent, face the Dodgers, a team with generational firepower, deep pockets, and a home field advantage that doesn't let up. Beneath the surface-level team identities, however, lies a betting puzzle with sharp value, if you're willing to dig. Let's start with the pitching matchup. The Dodgers are expected to throw right-hander Gavin Stone on the bump. Stone has been solid this season, pitching to a SUB 4.00 ERA over his last 10 starts, though his FIP suggests he's getting a bit lucky, hovering around 4.20. He's not overpowering, sitting at around 93 to 94 mph with his fastball, but his changeup continues to be elite, generating a whiff rate near 40%. Against a Rays team that ranks middle of the pack in run production against right-handed pitchers, 17th in WRC plus versus RHP, this matchup isn't exactly lopsided in either direction. For Tampa Bay, they'll likely send out young righty Taj Bradley or lefty Tyler Alexander depending on how they manage their bullpen-heavy rotation. If it's Bradley, bettors should key in on his upside, a strikeout rate north of 28%. But also recognize his volatility. He's been shelled at times by teams with elite left-handed bats, and that's exactly what the Dodgers bring to the table. Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and Max Muncy all profile well against Bradley's fastball-slider combo. The over on LHB total bases against Bradley could be a quiet value gem. Let's zoom out and talk team-level stats. The Dodgers are 34-18 at home this season, the second-best home record in the National League, trailing only the Braves. They average 5.31 runs per game at Dodger Stadium and have the league's highest ops at home since the All-Star break. That's backed by elite offensive sequencing and OBP weapons like Mookie Betts and Will Smith, who have walk rates over 12% and strikeout under 18%. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay is 27-29 on the road and averaging just 3.92 runs away from Tropicana Field. It's a classic home run-dependent offense on the road, and that's not always sustainable against power arms and lockdown late-inning relievers like Evan Phillips and Ryan Brazier. In terms of bullpen comparison, the edge here leans slightly toward the Rays. Tampa's bullpen ERA is 3.58, ranking 6th in baseball, with a whip under 1.20 in July. The Dodgers' pen, while improving, still sits in the middle of the pack with a bullpen ERA above 4.00 and a high fly ball rate, dangerous against teams that elevate the ball like Tampa does. If this game is close late, Tampa Bay could have the edge in the 7th through 9th innings, particularly if it's a battle of matchups. Let's talk props. For the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani has 10 home runs in his last 20 games and a hard hit rate of 56%. If Bradley is on the mound, Ohtani's homer prop at plus money, often around plus 300 to plus 350, is worth strong consideration. Freeman, who hits .348 against four-seamers this year, could be a total bases monster in this matchup. Look for 1.5 terabytes props at minus 110 or better. For Tampa, keep your eyes on Isaac Paredes, who continues to lead the team in slugging against LHP and could have a total bases prop worth attacking if the Dodgers go with southpaw bulk innings. Now onto the SGP, same game parlay angles. One popular leg combination here would be Dodgers moneyline, Shohei Ohtani to record a hit, Freddie Freeman over 1.5 total bases, Taj Bradley over 5.5 strikeouts if he starts, under 9.5 total runs. That combination could return around plus 750 depending on the book. You could also hedge slightly with an alternate run line play, Dodgers -1, instead of full ML for value enhancement. From a narrative standpoint, this is also a statement game. The Dodgers are trying to pull away in the NL West and keep pressure on the Braves for top seed positioning. The Rays, meanwhile, are in a wild card battle and are desperate for statement road wins to prove their playoff viability. That sense of urgency might mean aggressive base running, look at stolen base props, and tighter bullpen management, both of which matter in live betting and second-half markets. Weather will not be a factor at Dodger Stadium, as usual. Game time temps in the mid-70s with mild winds blowing out to left could slightly favor power bats, but not enough to fundamentally change totals. Still, every tick counts when dealing with live totals. Watch the number hover around 8.5 or 9 and look for late inning value if starters are dealing. Historically, these teams don't meet often, but the Rays took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers last time they met in 2023. That came at Tropicana though, and the Dodgers have owned Tampa at home, winning 5 of the last 6 at Chavez Ravine. Home dominance is real, especially under the lights where the Dodgers' power bats tend to shine. Final verdict: this game has all the makings of a 5-3 or 6-4 type Dodgers win. Stone should be good enough to limit Tampa to 2-3 runs over 5 innings, and the Dodgers' offense can take advantage of Bradley or Alexander early. We lean Dodgers moneyline, under 9.5, and like the player props on Ohtani and Freeman total bases. If you want to get sneaky, pair a Rays hitter like Paredes to go over 1.5 terabytes with a Dodgers win for a spicy same-game parlay. Longshot prop, Muncy 2, homer if wind is slightly carrying. The smart plays are grounded in numbers here, not names. Don't be seduced by brand bias. Yes, the Dodgers are the flashier team, but in this particular matchup, their home dominance, batting splits, and bullpen depth align well. Rays will battle, but likely fall just short. Projected final score: Dodgers 6, Rays 3. Best bets: Dodgers moneyline -140 or better. Under 9.5 total runs. Freeman over 1.5 total bases. Ohtani anytime hour +330. Paredes over 1.5 total bases +115. SGP: Dodgers ML plus Freeman 2 plus TB plus Ohtani hit plus Bradley 6 plus Ks plus 750. Game 11. Colorado Rockies vs. Pittsburgh Pirates. The Colorado Rockies and Pittsburgh Pirates face off in a game that might not grab national headlines, but sharp bettors and baseball purists know there's value hiding in matchups like this. On paper, the Pirates hold the edge, but games like these, between struggling or inconsistent teams, often offer unexpected swings, and that's exactly what we'll explore. As we dissect the data, pitching forms, and the offensive rhythm both teams are carrying, you'll see this isn't just about who wins, it's about how we extract profit from the chaos. Let's start with the visiting Colorado Rockies, who are still navigating the aftermath of a disappointing rebuild. They sit near the bottom of the NL West and entered this matchup with one of the league's worst road records, hovering below the .300 mark in away games. But more than just their record, it's their pitching staff that continues to be their Achilles heel. The Rockies' team era is among the highest in baseball, and that's largely because they've struggled to find consistent outings from both the rotation and the bullpen. Their starter in this game, Ryan Feltner, has shown flashes of potential but has failed to sustain it over multiple starts. He enters with a 5.48 ERA and 1.45 WHIP through 19 appearances. Away from Coors Field, Feltner's numbers slightly improve, but not enough to inspire confidence in taking the Rockies on the moneyline. Offensively, Colorado has some pop but lacks the depth to string together high-scoring innings. Ryan McMahon leads the team with 16 home runs, and Ezequiel Tovar continues to impress with timely hitting and above-average defense. But overall, the Rockies are near the bottom of the league in OBP and slugging percentage. They're an aggressive team at the plate, ranking in the top 5 in swing rate, but that often translates into fewer walks and extended innings for opposing pitchers. One angle to look at here is how the Rockies fare against right-handed pitching, which has been mediocre at best. They're hitting just .229 against righties with a .673 ops, making it hard to trust them against decent pitching. On the other side, the Pittsburgh Pirates are finally starting to show flashes of promise, even if the rebuild hasn't fully materialized yet. They're a better team at home, especially when they get contributions from young guns like Jack Suwinski and O'Neal Cruz. Cruz's return to the lineup has helped reinvigorate the offense, and with Bryan Reynolds heating up as well, this Pirates team has a few offensive weapons to keep Feltner under pressure. The Pirates' team batting average sits around .238, which doesn't jump off the page, but they rank in the top third in stolen bases and base running metrics, meaning they can manufacture runs even when the long ball isn't flying. On the mound for Pittsburgh, it'll be Mitch Keller, one of the more underrated starters in the NL this season. He's been a stabilizing force for this rotation, logging a 3.91 ERA and 1.22 WHIP across 131.1 innings. At PNC Park, Keller has pitched to a respectable 3.56 ERA, and against teams like Colorado, he typically dominates thanks to his above-average fastball and solid command. He's posted 9.4 strikeouts per 9 innings and has shown excellent control, walking fewer than 2.5 batters per 9. Keller also holds opponents to a .243 batting average and has held right-handed hitters to minimal damage. If you're building prop bets, Keller's over on strikeouts, usually set around 6.5, becomes a legitimate leg in your same-game parlays. When comparing bullpens, the Pirates again hold the edge. While Pittsburgh's relievers have struggled at times, they are far more reliable than Colorado's, who rank dead last in bullpen era at 5.39. Pittsburgh's bullpen features flamethrowers like David Bednar, who's closed out games with authority, notching 20 saves on the year with a SUB 3.00 ERA. If the game is close late, Pittsburgh's arms are far more trustworthy in securing the W. Let's talk betting. The Pirates opened as -175 favorites on the moneyline, and that number is justified given the pitching mismatch and Colorado's road woes. The run line, however, is where value may open up. With Keller on the bump, taking Pittsburgh -1.5 at plus money +115 or higher is a strong lean. The Rockies have lost 60% of their road games by 2 runs or more. For totals bettors, the over-under is set at 8.5. Given the inconsistent offenses and the presence of Keller, a case could be made for the under, but tread carefully, both bullpens can implode. For player props, start with Mitch Keller over 6.5 strikeouts and under 2.5 earned runs. Keller has hit that strikeout mark in 7 of his last 10 starts against teams with a high whiff rate, and the Rockies strike out 24.7% of the time versus right-handed pitchers. Offensively, Bryan Reynolds over 1.5 total bases is in play. He's hitting .288 against righties and has reached base in 11 of his last 13 games. For the Rockies, Ryan McMahon's total bases prop is worth a glance if you're seeking value. He's the most consistent threat in the Colorado lineup and can run into one at any point. Same-game parlay suggestion for this matchup. 1. Mitch Keller 6+ strikeouts. 2. Bryan Reynolds 1+ hit. 3. Pirates ML. 4. Under 9.5 total runs. This 4-leg SGP pays around +400 depending on your book and odds movement. If you're feeling riskier, you can tack on Reynolds to record an RBI or McMahon to record a hit to juice the payout. Final prediction. Pirates 5, Rockies 2. Keller does enough to keep Colorado quiet while Reynolds and Suwinski contribute timely hits. The Rockies bullpen adds fuel to the fire late, and Pittsburgh covers the run line at home. Game 12. Los Angeles Angels vs. Chicago White Sox. The Los Angeles Angels head into the Windy City to take on the struggling Chicago White Sox in what is shaping up to be a pivotal matchup for both clubs on the night of August 1st. For the Angels, who have hovered around .500 for most of the season, this road trip presents an opportunity to capitalize against one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. Meanwhile, for the White Sox, every game feels more like damage control and a test of pride than a playoff chase. Let's dive into the numbers, key matchups, betting angles, props, and where the value lies in this late-season AL clash. Starting with the visiting Angels, the team has seen flashes of brilliance from its offense, largely thanks to Taylor Ward's surge in the second half, the steady power of Jo Adell, and a rejuvenated Brandon Drury who's shown surprising consistency against left-handed pitching. As of July 30th, the Angels rank 11th in slugging percentage across the majors and have averaged 4.4 runs per game since the All-Star break. That offensive resurgence becomes even more critical when factoring in the pitching issues that continue to haunt them. The Angels' bullpen era remains in the bottom third of the league, and their rotation lacks a true ace following the departure of Shohei Ohtani. They are relying on left-hander Reed Detmers in this game, who enters with a 4.71 ERA and 1.38 WHIP across 20 starts this season. Detmers is talented but has had a wildly inconsistent year, particularly struggling to put away hitters with 2 outs. In his last 5 starts, he's allowed 17 earned runs in 24 innings while giving up 7 home runs in that stretch. The White Sox are likely sending out Eric Fedda, who has quietly been one of the lone bright spots in an otherwise dismal season for Chicago. Fedda has turned his MLB career around after a stint in Korea, currently sporting a 3.13 ERA and 1.17 WHIP over 21 starts, and he's been especially sharp at home. In his last 3 starts at Guaranteed Rate Field, he's gone at least 6 innings in each and allowed a combined total of 4 earned runs. However, the support around him has been non-existent. The White Sox offense is among the worst in the league, with a .221 team batting average, an on-base percentage of .287, and the lowest walk rate in baseball. Luis Robert Jr. is still sidelined, and with Eloy Jimenez hitting under .240 and Yoan Moncada continuing to underwhelm, the team lacks any real thump in the lineup. Even rookie standout Corey Lee has cooled off significantly after a strong start. From a betting standpoint, this game presents several interesting opportunities. The first thing to note is how poor the White Sox have been against left-handed pitching. They rank 29th in batting average against lefties and have an OPS under .660 when facing southpaws. That aligns well for Detmers, who may not be dominant but can feast on below-average lineups like this one. On the other hand, Fedda has proven capable of limiting quality bats and could neutralize an Angels offense that tends to be boom or bust on the road. Because of this, the under on the full game total may be the sharp play, especially if the line is posted at 8.5 or 9. Another key trend worth monitoring is the Angels' success in day games and early travel spots. They are 7-3 in their last 10 Wednesday games and have covered the run line in 6 of those contests. The White Sox, by contrast, have dropped 8 of their last 9 Wednesday games and have lost 5 straight series finales. These splits point toward a late-game edge for the Halos. For player props, Taylor Ward has hit safely in 14 of his last 17 games and is batting over .300 against righties since July 1st. His total bases prop is worth a look if it's set at 1.5 with plus money. Jo Adell's home run prop offers value at plus 500 or better given his matchup against a fly ball-prone pitcher in a hitter-friendly park. For the White Sox, Andrew Vaughn is the best bet to collect a hit, especially given his .283 average at home versus left-handers. His hits plus runs plus RBI combo line could be a sneaky parlay leg as well. Strikeout props are also worth monitoring. Detmers is a high K pitcher when he's on, and the White Sox rank 4th in strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. Detmer's line will likely be set around 5.5 or 6.5, and that over has real appeal given the matchup. Feta, meanwhile, might have a tough time generating strikeouts against an Angels team that sits in the bottom 10 in strikeout rate over the last 2 weeks. His under 5.5 Ks might be worth including in a same-game parlay. Speaking of SGP legs, here's a potential plus 750 same-game parlay to consider. Taylor Ward to record 2+ total bases. Reed Detmers over 5.5 strikeouts. Angels moneyline. Andrew Vaughn to record a hit. This parlay combines key statistical trends, favorable matchups, and correlating outcomes that align with each pitcher's strengths and weaknesses. The Angels' moneyline is tied directly to Detmer's performance and Ward's production, while Vaughn is the one reliable bat in a poor lineup. Defensively, the Angels still commit too many errors, ranking near the bottom of the league in fielding percentage. But the White Sox have been worse, leading the league in unearned runs allowed since June. This makes the first 5 innings moneyline for the Angels another sharp angle, as their offense is likely to strike early against a White Sox team that's often playing catch-up. In terms of historical data, the Angels have won 4 straight against the White Sox dating back to last season and have covered the run line in each of those games. Chicago, meanwhile, is 3-17 in their last 20 games against teams with a winning percentage over .480, which includes the Angels. Bettors should also note that the under has hit in 6 of the last 8 meetings between these two clubs. Final score prediction: Angels 5, White Sox 2. The value lies with the Angels in both the moneyline and run line markets, with strong prop angles on Ward, Adele, Detmer's strikeouts, and Vaughn's hit total. This is a mismatch on paper and in form, and unless Feta pitches a near shutout, the White Sox simply don't have the bats to stay competitive. If you're tailing this game on your card, lean into the Angels' offensive ceiling and the White Sox's inability to capitalize on their few scoring chances. It's not the flashiest game on the slate, but it offers some of the most defined edges for savvy bettors. Game 13: San Diego Padres vs. St. Louis Cardinals. This one might not have the glamour of a coast-to-coast rivalry, but make no mistake, Padres vs. Cardinals is quietly one of the most intriguing tactical chess matches on the slate. Two teams, each navigating frustrating seasons, meet at a critical juncture. San Diego still has enough firepower and rotation depth to claw back into the wild card picture, while St. Louis has leaned heavily on its top-tier offensive core despite injuries and inconsistencies on the mound. When these two meet at Busch Stadium, we're looking at a pure baseball grind, and today's matchup could swing heavily based on early innings tempo and bullpen execution. Let's start by diving into what the Padres bring to the table. San Diego enters this series with a 54-54 record, floating around the .500 mark like a team desperately waiting for a turning point. Their road record sits at a respectable 25-26, suggesting they can compete outside Petco Park when the pitching shows up. Offensively, it all starts with Fernando Tatis Jr., who's been doing it all since the All-Star break, hitting over .310 in his last 15 games, showing power, patience, and disruptive speed on the base paths. Manny Machado's resurgence in July also cannot be ignored. He's popped 6 home runs in his last 20 games while slugging over .600. Xander Bogaerts has cooled off a bit, but the bottom of the lineup has seen surprising contributions from Jake Cronenworth and Luis Campusano, giving the Padres just enough spark to stay alive in tight contests. The Padres' pitching staff is where things start to tighten up. Michael King is slated to get the start, and he's quietly been one of the most improved arms in the National League. Since shifting fully into a starting role, King has posted a 3.41 ERA across his last 8 starts, showcasing elite swing and miss stuff and command that's dramatically improved from his early season control woes. He's not just avoiding damage, he's missing bats, holding opponents to a .215 average in those outings. The bullpen has been a bit more shaky with Robert Suarez showing some cracks in late-inning control, but if the Padres can build an early lead, King could hand it off cleanly to Enyel de Los Santos and Wandy Peralta, who've been solid against right-handed heavy lineups like the Cardinals. Now let's pivot to St. Louis, a team that's simultaneously underachieving and still holding playoff aspirations in a very winnable NL Central. At 52-56, they're in must-win territory. What's been keeping the Cardinals afloat? Their top-heavy offense. Paul Goldschmidt continues to be the rock, and even in a slight down year by his MVP standards, he's putting up a 123 WRC+ with 17 homers and a .370 OBP. The real surge, though, has come from Nolan Gorman, who's demolished right-handed pitching this season, slugging .557 with 20+ homers and leading the team in hard hit rate. Then there's Lars Nootbaar, the table setter with sneaky power and plate discipline, hitting .294 over the past month with a .400+ OBP and playing elite defense. But the Cardinals' Achilles heel is pitching, especially in the rotation. Dakota Hudson takes the mound today with a 5.12 ERA and WHIP north of 1.40. Simply put, Hudson struggles to miss bats and gets into trouble when he falls behind in counts. His sinker-heavy approach might play well against aggressive swingers, but against patient hitters like Soto and Machado, he's at risk of long innings and elevated pitch counts. If Hudson can't make it through 5, that pushes the Cardinals' bullpen, already overworked, into dangerous territory. Giovanni Gallegos and Ryan Helsley have elite stuff but inconsistent command, while the middle relief corps has been a liability all season, surrendering far too many inherited runs. Best bets and betting angles. Looking at this game from a betting perspective, there's strong value on the Padres' moneyline, especially if King maintains his current form. Books are still pricing these teams fairly evenly, but on paper, San Diego's rotation edge is clear. With the Cardinals scuffling at home 24-29 at Busch this year, and the Padres holding a significant strikeout advantage, Padres 3.91 ERA in last 15 games versus Cardinals 5.23 ERA, backing San Diego is more than just a gut pick. Top betting pick. Padres moneyline -115. On totals, the over-under is hovering around 9.5 runs. While that may seem high given King's recent dominance, the matchup still has blow-up potential, especially if Hudson gets shelled early or the Cards' bullpen collapses late. The Cardinals are among the league leaders in bullpen era post-All-Star break, and the Padres are starting to piece together bigger innings when they see middle relievers. A key trend: 8 of the last 11 Cardinals home games have gone over the total, largely due to their bullpen faltering in the 6th-8th innings. Total pick. Over 9.5 -110. Player prop spotlight. Fernando Tatis Jr. Total bases over 1.5 -110. Tatis has 4 multi-hit games in his last 6 and hits over .300 against sinkerballers like Hudson. If he gets on early, he's also a stolen base threat. Nolan Gorman to hit a home run, +400. Gorman is in the 90th percentile in barrel rate and matches up well against King's occasional elevated fastball. At this price, it's solid value. Michael King over 5.5 strikeouts, -130. The Cardinals have a tendency to swing early in counts and chase late in games. King's strikeout pitch, the slider, could feast on this lineup. SGP parlay legs. Padres ML. Fernando Tatis Jr. Over 1.5 total bases. Michael King 6+ strikeouts. Over 8.5 alternate game total. Odds. +525 SGP value. Final score prediction. San Diego Padres 7, St. Louis Cardinals 4. We're projecting an early 3-run lead for the Padres as they jump on Hudson, and King handles 5 to 6 innings cleanly before the bullpen bends a bit but doesn't break. If the Padres are serious about staying in the wild card mix, this is the kind of series they need to dominate, against vulnerable rotations and shaky bullpens. The lineup is finally healthy, the top of the rotation is delivering quality starts, and the offense is rediscovering its power stroke. All signs point to San Diego taking Game 1 with conviction. Game 14 Oakland Athletics vs Arizona Diamondbacks. As the MLB calendar flips to August, we find ourselves staring down a late-night West Coast battle between two teams on very different ends of the competitive spectrum. The Oakland Athletics travel to Chase Field to face the Arizona Diamondbacks. This game isn't just about standings or playoff potential. It's a battlefield of betting value, player prop gold, and under-the-radar matchups that could turn the tables for daily bettors looking to end the night strong. Team trends and recent form. Let's start with a look at how these two teams have been trending over the last couple of weeks. The Arizona Diamondbacks have clawed their way back into the playoff picture in the National League. Sitting near the wild card bubble, Arizona has been riding the backs of solid starting pitching and consistent middle-of-the-order power. With Corbin Carroll slowly returning to form, Ketel Marte delivering timely hits, and Christian Walker providing steady run production, this D-backs squad has shown they're far from a one-year wonder. Over their last 10 games, Arizona has gone 6-4, including series wins over the Nationals and Mariners. But their offense has been streaky. They've either exploded for 6+ runs or been held to 1 or 2. That Jekyll and Hyde pattern is something bettors must track closely. On the flip side, the Oakland Athletics continue to rebuild, but lately, they've shown a scrappy edge. Oakland is just 3-7 in their last 10, but those 3 wins came against playoff contenders. J.J. Bleday and Brent Rooker have been producing some surprising pop at the plate, and Zach Gelof continues to show he's the future centerpiece of this franchise. But their bullpen remains one of the weakest in baseball, and their team ERA is among the highest in the league. That inconsistency, especially in high-leverage situations, is why this team struggles to close games, even when they lead heading into the 6th or 7th inning. Starting pitching breakdown. Tonight's projected starters offer some betting value on both ends. For the Diamondbacks, it's expected to be Slade Cecconi, the young right-hander who has flashed potential but struggled with command. He's got a mid-90s fastball and a developing slider, but his problem has been missing spots late in counts. Cecconi has allowed 8.278 average against in his last 4 starts and has failed to make it through the 5th inning in 3 of those outings. His strikeout numbers hover around 7.3 K9, but his walk rate has crept over 3.5 BB9. If he keeps leaving pitches up in the zone, the A's do have enough pop to capitalize. For Oakland, Luis Medina gets the ball. Medina's raw stuff is electric. He routinely hits 97+ on the radar gun and has a wipeout slider, but his control has been inconsistent. In his last 5 starts, Medina's ERA is north of 5.00, and he's allowed at least 1 home run in each of those outings. However, he does tend to generate whiffs, making him a volatile but intriguing prop target. Against a free-swinging team like Arizona, strikeout props in the 4.5-5.5 range could hold sneaky value. Key player props to watch. Now let's dive into some player props that bettors should be targeting. Ketel Marte. Over 1.5 total bases. Marte has had multi-hit games in 4 of his last 6 outings. He's slugging over .500 against right-handers and has consistently performed well at Chase Field. With Medina's tendency to leave fastballs over the plate, this is a solid value play. Brent Rooker. Home run prop, plus 450 to plus 500 range. Rooker has 3 hours in his last 9 games and continues to be one of Oakland's few legitimate power threats. Against a fastball-heavy pitcher like Cecconi, he's a dark horse to go deep. Luis Medina, over 5.5 strikeouts, risky but rewarding. Arizona ranks in the top 10 in strikeout rate versus right-handed pitching over the last 30 days. Medina's swing and miss stuff might allow him to reach this mark if he avoids early damage. Team totals and scoring angles. The total for this game is expected to sit around 8.5 to 9 runs, which makes sense given the volatility of both pitchers and the bullpens behind them. Diamondbacks team total over 4.5 runs. Arizona has scored 5+ runs in 7 of their last 10 home games. Against a wild arm like Medina and a weak A's bullpen, this is a solid leg for your parlays. Athletics team total under 3.5 runs. Oakland's lineup can pop a couple of solo shots, but stringing together innings has been their Achilles heel. Arizona's bullpen is ranked in the top 12 over the last 2 weeks, so if Cecconi keeps them close early, the back end should close the door. SGP parlay legs, same game parlay build. Here's a smart SGP combo you could roll the dice on. 1. Kettle Mart 1+ hit. 2. Arizona Diamondbacks. Team total over 4.5. 3. Luis Medina. Over 5.5 strikeouts. 4. Game total over 8.5 runs. This parlay sits around plus 850 to plus 1000, depending on the book. It's a high variance setup, but if you're chasing a late night boost with upside, this combo covers player props, run totals, and pitcher production in a correlated way. Betting trends and situational angles. Let's talk trends. Arizona is 9-4 in their last 13 home games. Oakland is 6-20 in their last 26 road games. The over is 7-2 in Arizona's last 9 games at Chase Field. The under is 5-1 in Oakland's last 6 night games. One particular angle that stands out. Arizona has covered the run line in 6 of their last 9 wins at home. With a team like Oakland that fades late, the Diamondbacks -1.5 plus 120 is a solid play that pairs well with a total over bet. Final score prediction. The Athletics are young, feisty, and prone to surprising people, but the Diamondbacks are playing with purpose, momentum, and far more structure. The starting pitchers both have red flags, but Arizona has the deeper, more experienced lineup, and their bullpen is significantly more trustworthy. Final prediction. Arizona Diamondbacks 6, Oakland Athletics 3. This feels like a game where the Diamondbacks strike early, the A's keep it close through 5, but Arizona's middle of the order takes over in the late innings. Expect some bullpen insurance runs to push the total over, and keep an eye on players like Mart and Walker to cash in the prop market. Game 15 Mariners vs Rangers. There are regular season games, and then there are games like this, where the postseason picture starts getting just a little clearer, and every pitch feels like it could shift the balance of power. The Seattle Mariners are headed to Globe Life Field to square off against the defending World Series champions, the Texas Rangers, in what's shaping up to be a statement game. The Mariners are still fighting tooth and nail in that crowded AL West and wild card picture, while the Rangers are desperate to prove they can still defend their crown after a rocky and injury-plagued 2025 campaign. These two teams know each other well, and familiarity always breeds intensity. This matchup has the ingredients of a gritty, high-leverage showdown with playoff implications written all over it. The Mariners enter this game playing some of their best baseball of the summer. Over the last 15 games, Seattle has surged back into the wild card conversation with a 10-5 record during that stretch. Pitching has carried them all season, especially the rotation, and it's going to be Logan Gilbert who takes the mound against the Rangers in this pivotal contest. Gilbert has been quietly dominant over the last month, boasting a 2.87 ERA and an impressive 0.95 WHIP over his last 5 starts. He's been executing his fastball up in the zone with purpose and pairing it with a wicked splitter that's generating ground balls at a high clip. Against a power-heavy Rangers lineup, keeping the ball down is going to be essential. But perhaps most importantly, Gilbert has shown a knack for handling high-pressure situations, something that will serve him well in what's expected to be a hostile environment in Arlington. Meanwhile, the Mariners' offense has been a tale of streaks. Julio Rodriguez has found his rhythm after a slow start to the year and is currently on a 13-game hitting streak. He's doing it all: hitting for power, getting on base, and swiping bags. J.P. Crawford has continued to set the tone atop the lineup, and Ty France is quietly putting together a bounce-back season, hitting .285 with timely RBI knocks. The addition of Mitch Haniger back into the lineup post-injury has also added much-needed thump in the middle of the order. The Mariners' offense isn't explosive, but they grind at bats, force starters into deep pitch counts, and capitalize when it matters. That kind of approach could pay dividends against a Rangers bullpen that's been shaky in recent weeks. As for the defending champions, the Texas Rangers are in a dogfight to keep their playoff hopes alive. Despite their star-studded lineup and big money investments, injuries have ravaged their rotation and lineup depth. But that hasn't stopped Corey Seager and Marcus Semien from doing what they do best: rake. Seager, in particular, is in an MVP-caliber groove, slashing .327 with 25 homers and 8.950 OPS. His ability to hit both power and contact pitching makes him the most dangerous bat in this game. Semien continues to be a glue guy, playing elite defense and hitting key home runs in clutch moments. The Rangers are expected to start right-hander Dane Dunning, who has struggled with consistency all season. Dunning's command has been suspect, and lefties have punished him all year long, batting .304 against him. The Mariners will no doubt look to stack the lineup with lefties like Cal Raleigh and Dominic Canzone to exploit that vulnerability. One of the most fascinating parts of this matchup is the bullpen comparison. Seattle has quietly built one of the best relief corps in the American League. Andres Munoz is throwing triple digits with command and closing games like a seasoned vet, while guys like Matt Brash and Gabe Spear are handling high-leverage situations with calm precision. On the other hand, Texas has dealt with blown saves and late-inning implosions for much of 2025. Jose Leclerc and David Robertson have been unreliable, and the lack of a true lockdown closer has made every ninth inning feel like Russian roulette for manager Bruce Bochy. In a close game, the advantage absolutely swings toward the Mariners in the late innings. When it comes to the head-to-head numbers this season, the Mariners and Rangers are dead even at 4 wins apiece entering this game. However, Seattle has taken 2 of the last 3 in Arlington and seems to be the more complete team right now. Their pitching is in rhythm, their stars are healthy, and their role players are producing when called upon. The Rangers, by contrast, are still figuring out how to win games when their lineup doesn't explode for 7+ runs. That's a dangerous position to be in against a team like Seattle that thrives in low-scoring, grind-it-out contests. From a betting perspective, this game presents an intriguing edge for underdog hunters. The Mariners, behind Logan Gilbert, are likely to come in as slight underdogs or pick-'em favorites depending on how the line moves. Given Gilbert's recent form and Seattle's bullpen superiority, there's real value on the Mariners' moneyline. The total will likely hover around 8.5 or 9 depending on weather and lineup confirmation, but with Dane Dunning's inconsistency and both teams capable of offensive bursts, a lean toward the over isn't unreasonable, especially if the ball is flying in Arlington during the day. Prop bettors should keep a close eye on Julio Rodriguez's total bases, which is likely to be set at 1.5. Given his current hitting streak and the matchup against Dunning, he's a great bet to cash that line. Another sneaky play is J.P. Crawford to record a hit plus walk. He's been getting on base consistently and could see a favorable matchup against a control-challenged Dunning. On the Rangers' side, Corey Seager's home run prop is always in play, especially at home where he's slugging over .600 for the season. Ultimately, this game may not decide the division, but it could very well influence the final wild card standings. With both teams hovering around that playoff bubble, every head-to-head result becomes magnified. For Seattle, this is a chance to prove they belong among the contenders. For Texas, it's about survival, resilience, and reminding the league that the defending champs aren't dead yet. Expect intensity, expect drama, and expect a hard-fought, playoff-caliber atmosphere deep in the heart of Texas. Final score prediction: Mariners 5, Rangers 3. Logan Gilbert goes 6 strong, Julio Rodriguez collects multiple hits, and Andres Munoz shuts the door late. Seattle steals a critical win on the road and strengthens their grip on a wild-card berth, while the Rangers are left searching for answers as time begins to run out. If you live and breathe baseball, hit that subscribe button right now and join the family here at Beyond the Box Score. We drop fire daily, stat-backed breakdowns, betting gems, player props, and predictions that slap harder than a walk-off grand slam. Smash that like button if you're cashing picks with us, and don't forget to turn on the bell so you never miss an edge. Drop your best bet for today in the comments, we're reading every one. Whether your team totals, strikeout props, or just chasing dingers, this is your home for smart, sharp, and savage MLB analysis. Let's dive in.